students, we have seen in the previous lecture, we have seen self-pollination. There are two types, self-pollination and cross-pollination. Again, there are two types of self-pollination, autogamy, that means in the same flower. Geitonogamy means different flowers are the same plant. Then cross-pollination, we have seen, it is also called as xenogamy. Then there are so many agencies for it, biotic agency and biotic agency. The biotic agencies means the pollinating agents, they are biotic factors, for example, wind or water. So when the pollination takes place with the help of wind, it is called as anemophily, and when it takes place with the help of water, it is called as hydrophily. Then there are some biotic agencies for that. For example, if the pollination takes place with the help of insects, it is called as entomophily. If it takes place with the help of bats, it is called as chitrophily. If it takes place with the help of snails, it is called as malicophily. And if it takes place with the help of birds, it is called as ornithophily. Okay. Now we'll see the agencies in detail. Okay. The first one is anemophily. So in this, the agency is wind. So as you have already known that there is no need of attracting pollinators. So these flowers are dull color. They are colorless. They are odorless. They don't have any scent. Then they are nectarless. Then these pollen grains, they are very small. They are very light, so that they can easily carried away with the help of wind. They are dry. They are smooth, and they are non-sticky, and they are unwettable. And the stigma, if you see, in case of maize, it is shown that the stigma, it is a hairy structure. It is having feathery like structure, so it can easily trap this pollen grains. And these pollen grains, there are very less number of chances of pollination. So these pollen grains, they are produced in a large amount. You see the feathery, the hairy stigma here, the pollen grains. They are dry. They can be winged. Now we'll see hydrophily. Now there are two types of hydrophily. The first one is epihydrophily and the second is hypohydrophily. What happens in the epihydro, as you such at the name suggests, epihydrophily, that means the pollination takes place above the surface of water. So in these case, what happens is there's a flower, that means the female flowers, the uh, they are below the water, so they are in the stalk, they are in the coil state. Okay. So the pollen grains, it's a specific gravity is equal to water, so the pollen grains float on the water. And what happens is when these female flowers, when they get matured, then the coiled state, it gets uncoiled. Okay. And the female flowers, they raises on the surface of water. And by this uh, mode, the pollination takes place. And in the hypophily, what happens is, because this pollen grains, because this flowers, the pollen grains, and they don't have the specific gravity equal to water. So these flowers, they are submerged. So pollination takes place in the, so these pollen grains, they are heavy much, and they sink down, and they are caught by female flowers. And this is how the pollination takes place underwater. Now here you see the pollination of Palisneria. If you see the female flowers, the male flowers, if you see, they are floating on water. Okay. And their pollen grains also float on water. But if you see female flower, they have a coiled stem. Okay. So when there's a uh, coiled state, when they get mature, the coiled state, it gets relaxed, and these raises the flowers on the surface of water. And the second is hydrophily. Okay. So in this case, the flowers, as in this case also, they don't need to attract pollinators, so they don't have any scent, they don't have any nectar. and the pollen grains, they are light and they are unvisible due to the presence of mucilaginous cover. And the stigma is also weight, it is long and sticky, but it is unwettable. See the next part. Okay, second is entomophily. The pollination, when it takes place with the help of insects, it is called as entomophily. Here, as you know, you have to call pollinators. So, for attracting them, you have to have now this plant. It uh, it spends its energy in having colorful petals. So these flowers are very large. They have more attractive petals, and they are very beautiful. So that because of these bright colors, they are attracted towards it, and there's nectar. They possess nectar, and these pollen grains, they are very spiny because if they stick to their if they stick to the insect's legs, they can be carried to the stigma of other flowers. So the pollen grains, they are spiny, heavy. They are surrounded with yellow oily sticky substance that is called as pollen kit. And stigma, they are also uh, sticky. uh, then in the to give reward to pollinators, because it's a symbiotic association. Pollinators, they get nectar from the flowers, and flowers want pollination. So it's a symbiotic relationship. That's why there's a there are some flowers that gives a place to insects to lay their eggs also. And after the eggs are hatched, there's a larvae. Okay, it uh, feeds upon the seeds that are developing in the flower. Okay, so this is how this entomophily works. Now this is ornithophilia. Ornithophilia means the pollination, it takes place with the help of birds. So the flowers, they are also brightly colored. They are red, orange, yellow, or blue. Their flower parts, they are leathery. The flowers secrete abundant watery nectar or edible parts, and as we say, because they don't the uh, like insects or these birds, they don't have any sense of smell. So these scents are not there. These flowers are not fragrant. So we'll see the next. Okay. Now there are some methods to avoid cross pollination. As one thing I want to tell you, there are some flowers. They are called as clistogamous flowers. In clistogamous flowers, this flower, it's a bisexual flower. Both male reproductive part and female reproductive part, androecium, gynoecium, both are present in this flower. And this flower, it remains closed till the pollination takes place. After the fertilization, after the pollination and the fertilization, when there is a complete pollination and fertilization, then only the flower opens. So this is a modification that takes place in the clistogamous flowers to ensure self pollination. Now see, there are some methods to ensure cross pollination. That means these methods, they avoid self pollination. As you have known that the self pollination, in self pollination, the offsprings, whatever the plants are forming from these plants, they are genetically similar. So there is no chance of genetic variation. But if you go for cross pollination, there are chances that there's because it's pollination takes place from one flower to other flower from a different plants. Okay, and of the same species or different species. So there is a chances of genetic variation. The first we'll see the dictogamy. In dictogamy, what happens is androecium or the gynoecium.